Hello and welcome to the Photo Bar, the podcast talking all about the business and lifestyle of photography while drinking beer. This is episode number 4, How to Lose Customers. Hey, my name is Matt Druin, and my goal is to help you become a better person, a better photographer, and a better entrepreneur. So today's episode is going to be about how to lose customers. And you might be thinking, well, I don't want to lose customers. I want to get more of them. Well, this would be a perfect example of what not to do. And it's actually based on something that actually happened to me. So to me, probably a little bit of a long story, but I think it makes a very good point. So a few months ago, I was actually involved in a car accident. And I'm totally okay, and everything's all right other than my car. My car was totaled. And it's pretty damn scary, but other than that, everything's cool. Anyhow, so the car was totaled. And now I have to find a new car. So I'm a huge fan of Audis and Volkswagens. So I decided to pick up an Audi A4. It was a used Audi. I paid cash for it. But it needed some mechanical work, and it was no big deal. It only had 69,000 miles on it, owned by a little old lady that drove it to church and groceries. Literally. And I picked it up from a Lexus dealership, and it ran perfect. But there was some stuff that needed to be done to it just because of the age of the car. And I've been going to the same mechanic for a number of years, and they've always done a totally awesome job and really great pricing. They always give me a really good deal. So I take the car up to them, and I drop it off there. I had them just do a full inspection to see what else it needed aside from the timing belt and a few other things that I was going to have done to it. He gave me a small list back, and I decided just go ahead and have it all done, with the timing belt, the water pump, some hoses, and all this other stuff that it needed just because of the age of the car. So it was a pretty big chunk of money. It said it would take about 3 days. So I was like, all right, cool. Here's the keys, go ahead and get started on it. The work started pretty quickly, and I was going out of town for about 2 weeks. So I just let him know, hey, dude, I'm not going to be back actually for 2 weeks, but you go ahead and take your time with it, and as long as it's done when I get back, that's cool. So after a few days, I haven't heard back from him, so I just had to call up there just to kind of get an update. And he said things were going great, and they hit a few speed bumps. That's typical Audi, Volkswagen stuff. There's always some complicated thing to deal with. But everything else was good to go and looking good. So I'm thinking to myself, awesome, I asked him just to keep me updated, and 2 weeks later, when I got back in town, I headed up to the shop. During that time, I haven't heard anything back from him, even though I asked for updates, which was kind of annoying. But I get to the shop, and I see that my car is actually still on the lift. And I ask him, I'm like, dude, what's going on? I thought you said it's just going to be a couple of days. I haven't heard anything back from you. I just assumed that it was done. Responded back, I said, hey, yeah, we're sorry. We're just waiting on some parts. Again, I'm a car guy. I totally understand that things come up that's unexpected. But what I didn't understand is why nobody bothered to even call me and just say, hey, dude, we got to order some parts. Sorry. So here I am. I'm back in town. Need a car, and I don't have one. Of course, he apologized and said it would definitely be done within 2 days. 2 days later, I get a call to let me know that the car is still not done. At this point, I'm getting pretty irritated. I'm sure pretty much anybody would be, but this time he said one of his mechanics was sick, so it caused a delay. Again, things happen. I understand. 3 days later, I still don't hear anything back from this dude. So I call again, and I'm like, man, what's up with my car? Is it done? He's like, yeah. We're putting it back together now, and you can come get it in an hour. And I'm like, all right, sweet. So at this point, it's been 3 weeks. So I'm finally get my car back. So I head up to the shop, all excited to finally get it and actually drive it for the first time, other than from the dealer to the shop. I walk in, and my car is in the lift. And I'm like, okay, so is the car ready? And he's like, well, we got it all together and did a test drive, and it's not exactly where it needs to be. We need another couple of days. So about this time, I'm starting to get really pissed. But, I just remained calm and asked him if he was 100% sure it was going to be done in a couple of days. And, of course, he was like, yes. So I left it at that. So at this point, it's been about 4 weeks. And I literally bought the car, drove it straight to him, and it's been there for 4 weeks. A few more days go by with no updates, no call, no text message, no nothing. And so I'm like, man, what is going on? Call up there, and I'm like, all right, is it ready? And his response was that it was ready, but his master mechanic didn't feel comfortable with the completed job. yet again and want to know if we can keep it for a few more days to make it perfect. And I can totally appreciate the passion and the care and concern about doing a great job. Totally understand that. So obviously, I'm a small business and I want to always do the absolute best for my clients as well. So I understood where he was coming from, but it was just getting a little bit ridiculous on how long this whole thing was taking. But a lot more firm in my tone, I asked, are you 100% sure that it's going to be done this time? And I also said, don't tell me it's going to be a couple of days if you know it's going to be a week or 2 weeks. Just have a very clear communication with me, let me know what's going on, and update me and keep me posted. That's all I'm asking. He said he would definitely do that. It would be a couple of days, and he would call me with any updates. The next day, I received a call, and he called to update me and let me know things were going great and everything was right on schedule. Awesome. I really appreciate that. The next 2 days, I heard nothing. So he did great, that first day, but after that, nothing. So during this whole time, I'm traveling, I'm shooting jobs, I'm editing, I got meetings, I'm dealing with family life, and all the other stuff that, normal people have going on in their life. So for me to kind of keep dealing with this was just becoming a real nuisance, and I was just getting extremely just pissed. So I'm the type of person that takes someone's word as truth. If you say you're going to do X, Y, and Z, then that's what I expect. It's going to take X amount of time. I expect that. And I totally understand that things come up, and I think I'm pretty generous about that and understand. But this was just getting out of hand. So now we're going on like week 6 or 7 at this point, and I haven't had a car this entire time. I'm just getting really pissed off. I'm sick of dealing with it. I just got too much stuff going on to have to deal with it. If it wasn't for the fact that I've been going to this place for so long and I've known this guy so well, and they give me an amazing price, especially with dealing with German cars, I would have been out of there already, at this point. I went out of town for a couple of weeks, and I was super busy with work, so they had plenty of time to get the car done. During this time, he never bothered calling me at all. And this time, each time that I called, his brother, who didn't even work there, would answer the phone. And I said, well, who's this guy, He would always tell me that the guy that owned the shop wasn't there. He was on lunch. He was with another customer. He'd give me a call back. He was picking up parts, or, there was always some excuse. And, of course, he never would call me back. So, obviously, I'm out of town at this point, and I had no idea what was going on. I had no way to even find out what was going on. I didn't know if they blew my motor, my car fell off the lift, they wrecked it on a test drive, or what was going on. The second that I got back in town, I drove from the airport straight to the shop. Of course, the owner and the guy that normally works in my car was a little startled to see me, and he's like, oh, hey, dude, what's going on? And I was like, well, I didn't even bother getting a response, or anything back from you, and I want my car. And he said, oh, well, it's right there in the shop, and we're putting it back together. Great, when's it going to be ready? He said, tomorrow afternoon, at the end of the day, it'll definitely be done. You can drive it off. I'm sure at this point, he could really tell that I was pissed, because I wasn't really talking to him in a very nice way. And of course, he offered a 50% discount for all the trouble, and that made me feel a lot better and calmer about the situation, even though at this point, it's still really ridiculous. So the next day, I never heard anything back from him, so I drove up to the shop an hour before they were due to be closed. And once I get there, I look in and the whole place is completely dark. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what the fuck's going on? I'm super pissed all over again. The shop is closed already, and there's nobody there. I call his personal cell phone number, and it rang, and eventually went to voicemail. I called 30 minutes later, and the phone was turned off. Obviously, so now I just think he's just totally trying to avoid me. So now I'm super pissed, and I head back home, and at that point, there was nothing else I can do. So now we're like 2.5 months, maybe almost 3 months dealing with this, and they've had my car this entire time. So I should have just had it taken somewhere else weeks before, but because, I was just so busy, and because of the great experiences that I've had with this guy for years and thousands of dollars I spent with him, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and just being probably too nice, So the next day, I drive back up to the shop, unannounced totally, and I find it closed again, even though the shop is supposed to be open. There's nobody there. I mean, I know they're not going out of business. The place has been there for like 40 plus years. But I didn't know what was going on, so I called his cell phone again, and it rang, and it rang, and it rang, and it went to voicemail. I called a couple hours later, and it went straight to voicemail, like the phone was turned off. So once again, I returned back home without my car. The following day, I went back, and there it is. The shop was open. I stormed in and asked for my keys. This time he said that the lift was broke and my car was stuck up in the air, which is why the shop was closed the day before. Even though this place has 6 different lifts, why would they close the entire shop because one lift was broken? Of course, I asked, when's it going to be fixed? I want to get my car. He said a guy is coming that day and I can get my car the following day. So again, I returned back home. So the following day, I go back up to the shop 2 hours before they were supposed to be closed. And I get there and it's fucking closed. I was beyond pissed. I called his phone and guess what? He actually answered. This time the excuse was, well, a belt broke in my car and he was driving to the Audi dealer to pick up a new one and then was going to be heading back. It was after 5 o'clock at this point, and I know no parts dealer is open at this time. They all close at 4 to 5, right? So I know he's lying. Of course, he said he had already talked to him and they were holding it for him and they were keeping everything open just for him. And it also seemed a little odd to me at the time that he was driving to a dealer that was 2 to 3 times as far as the one right down the street. He mentioned his mechanic was right down the street waiting for him, eating dinner. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to have my wife drop me off at your shop and I'm going to sit here and wait for you to get back. And he said, yeah, sure, no problem. So about 1.5 hours later, I still had not heard anything from him. I called him again. I'm like, dude, are you going to show up? He's like, of course, I'm on my way. I'm on the highway. I'm about halfway back. So it's going on 8 o'clock at this point. My son is at home sleeping. My wife couldn't come get me. So I didn't really have much option, but just kind of waited out. So an hour later, I give him a call again. No answer. I called 10 minutes later. No answer. I called another 10 minutes later. Straight to voicemail. The phone was turned off. So I am seriously just so beyond pissed at this point, and my head was about to explode. I updated my wife on, what was going on, and she offered to pick me up, but, I didn't want to have her to get out of bed, get dressed, wake up my son, and come get me, so I just declined. I called him back 20 minutes later, and it rang. Oh, the phone's back on. And it rang, and it rang, and it went to voicemail. 15 minutes later, I get a long-ass text that says he was involved in a car accident, and he was using Siri while in the back of an ambulance. Who the hell does that? Nobody does that. So I was trying not to be a dick in case, he really was in a car accident. But I'm thinking, nobody does this, right? I don't even think an ambulance would allow that if you were involved in a car, accident and you were put in the back of an ambulance. I could also tell he was lying about using Siri because the text message that he sent me was just tons of jumbled up words, all in one long sentence. And Siri just doesn't do that. It makes mistakes, but it doesn't jumble every single thing up together as one giant paragraph sentence. So I'm thinking to myself, my God, what the hell kind of shit is going on? What is this? Who does this and goes to this extreme to lie about something? Why not just be honest and tell exactly what's going on instead of making up this whole story about supposedly, going for parts and even though the place is closed and claiming you're on your way back and then you're in a car accident. Seriously, it's just so ridiculous. So at this point, I was literally about to call the cops and do anything else I could, file a complaint against the Better Business Bureau or anything, to get my car back. I was just sick and tired of dealing with it. The following day was Sunday, which is the normal day for the shop to be closed, so I couldn't do anything then. But first thing Monday morning, I headed to the shop before they were even due to be open, right? I drive by and his car is sitting there in perfect mint condition. And I'm like, how is he able to be so sore in an ambulance in a car accident and his car is perfectly fine? So I pull up and there he is. There's not a scratch on him, there's no sling, there's no wrap, there's nothing wrong with him. I asked about his car and he claimed to have been using a different car. So insert eye roll here. I asked him about my car. He said it was definitely going to be done that day, 1,000% for sure, no exceptions. I left to get some errands done and returned 2 hours later before they were due to close. They were still open. Wow. I walked in and I said, just let me know when it's done and that way I can pick it up. He was like, well, yeah, we're working on it, no problem. So I made myself comfortable and I expected it would be a while. So I got some snacks, got my laptop, had plenty of work to do, some entertainment, and literally planned to sit there until my car was done. The shop closed at 6, and they were still working on my car. At almost 9:30 p.m., it was finally done. He handed me the keys and said he was sorry about all the issues and everything that was happening, and they were going to give me everything totally for free. Wow. Okay. Awesome. I really like that because we were spending $3,000 to $4,000 at this point to get all this stuff done. Right. I was still beyond pissed, no doubt. The whole situation just turned into a total nightmare. And it didn't have to be that way, Like, I mean, it really wouldn't have been that bad if he just would have been honest with me and just kept a constant communication open with me, the entire time, and kept his promises instead of lying and creating excuses and trying to avoid me. It was just a total waste of my time. It just caused a lot of unnecessary stress on me and my family. It inconvenienced us without having a second car. It just created a freaking terrible experience, that was beyond repair at this point. No pun intended. I decided not to file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau, although I should, and I don't know, I just decided not to trash him with tons of negative feedback online or anything. And I'm sure, many others might have done that, but I decided not to. What I did do is not give him any more of my business, and he just totally lost all of my business, which was a pretty huge chunk each year of just, like I said, normal wear and tear type of maintenance and stuff, and some other big projects. I used to refer him to a lot of people, and I've called every one of those people up, told them what was going on, and now none of those people are going back. I'm not going to refer anybody else ever again, and neither are those people. At the end of the day, it's just, maybe big corporations and companies can easily get past that kind of thing, not caring and just kind of pushing people around because there's millions of other people right behind them to buy something, I guess. As a small business, you really can't do that. Every single person counts. Something like that could seriously destroy a small business. If you want to quickly lose customers and destroy your own business, that's pretty much how it's done. You can just follow that, down to a T, and you would do very well at that goal. But there's a lot that we can learn from this story, too. We can learn how important it is to be honest and ethical in our own business, how we should treat customers and how we should not treat customers, how vital it is to not only focus on delivering a great service and product, but also an incredible experience. And I can't emphasize the incredible experience enough. We can also kind of see what the ramifications of a bad experience could do to our business. Many of us might find it hard to recover from something like that. Hopefully this story has made you think and you find some freedom in your business and in your personal life. I'm sure that you've probably not doing things that terribly, but maybe there's some things that you can improve on. You like better communication, responding back to clients quickly, updating them on different things, being clear in communication and expectations on both sides. I just think there's a lot that we could really pull from this and improve in our own business, even if it's a small improvement. Every little bit counts. So what do you think? Is there areas in your business that you can improve? Or have you had issues before in your business that you've learned from? Or maybe you've dealt with another business and you had a disastrous experience, or maybe a really good experience that you've learned something from. Regardless, I would love to hear what you have to say, and I'm sure other people would as well. So if you could, just hop on into the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/photobarpodcast. Or you can email me directly at photobarpodcast@gmail.com. But I would love to hear what you think, and I'm sure other people can get a lot of use and help from it as well. If you would want to check out my work, you can do so at my website at matthewdruin.com. My Instagram is at mattdruin, my Twitter is at matthewdruin, and my Facebook is at facebook.com/matthewdruin photography. Lastly, if you could help us grow the community by leaving an awesome 5-star review on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts at, it would greatly help me out. It keeps me motivated, but it also helps other people, find the podcast. So it boosts, up in the rankings. It's kind of like an SEO type thing for podcasts. So if you could do that, that would be amazing. Other than that, that wraps up this episode, and I will talk to you guys next time.